Hello Bahamas, and welcome to a presentation on the blue economy and the Bahamas, and what the blue economy means for the Bahamas. Many in the Bahamas are now concerned about what are the possible steps moving forward to better the Bahamian economy. And for those who may not know, it is my personal opinion that the blue economy is a viable option for the Bahamas to bolster its economy and move the nation forward as a whole. What is the blue economy? Many of you would have heard me speak towards what the blue economy is, wondering what is Brother Roberts talking about? Well, the blue economy in its purest form, when we look at its definition as described by the World Bank in its Small Island Development States concept paper, it is said to be a marine-based economic development leading to improved well-being and social equity whilst reducing environmental risks and ecological scarcities. It is the reframing of the oceans as development spaces subject to spatial planning. It is the incorporating the value of the oceans into economic decision-making. It is the establishing of policies that favor low-carbon, resource-efficient, and socially inclusive development. It is the prioritizing the use of the oceans to benefit the Bahamian people, alleviate poverty, generate employment, and promote equity. It is the decoupling of socio-economic development from environmental degradation. It is the improving of relevant international law and governance mechanisms that are presently in place. In terms of what the background to the blue economy is, many have come to realize that there are globally economic relationships with the oceans, key component parts to future development models. Currently, the setting for international commerce and transport, which is a significant source of food and energy, the ocean's contribution to countries are already important. The Bahamas as a factor will know that here it is, we as a nation, we export an average of $92 to $98 million worth of crawfish tails almost every 8 months of the crawfish season. In terms of what the whole background to the blue economy will mean for the Bahamas, it means that there are global plans of ocean development, or ocean development plans, I should say, that governments are focusing on, and the Bahamas cannot be left behind in terms of the innovation and competitive advantages that would be available if we pursue the blue economy. This gathering trend of expansion and acceleration of human activity in and around the ocean is seen as the industrialization of the oceans, in essence the new industrial age based on oceanography. Blue economy concept has its origin in the broader green movement and describes a sustainable balance between economic growth and ocean health. But what does this all mean for the Bahamas? In terms of the minimum criteria for a blue economy, does the Bahamas have the minimum needs or minimum criteria in place? These needs vary from human needs, ecosystem sustainability, and a strong systematic approach to the implementation of the model, as well as a maintenance of sustainability standards. In terms of human needs, there has to be the need for food security, the addressing of the food security, water, energy, materials, recreation, and health, as well as jobs, livelihoods, community life, and political stability. These are the primary needs that the blue economy model will look at. In terms of the ecosystem sustainability, the blue economy will strive to ensure that resources are grown, harvested, processed, used, and recycled in a way that promotes improvement of the biodiversity and productivity of the supporting environment. In terms of the approach, it has to be a systematic approach in terms of applying the tools of systems thinking, modeling, and integrated planning, inclusive of interlinkages between and amongst different economic activities and ecosystems. In terms of sustainability, the Bahamas cannot ignore maintaining what we have and improving what we have. Sustainability is key for the Bahamas because Under the blue economy model, we will be following global standards and guidelines for sustainable business operations and practices, investment and development, with margin for continuous refinement and improvement. In terms of the components of the blue economy, when we look at the various types of activities and the methodologies that will be implanted by the various aspects of the blue economy, what we find is there is a wide open spectrum of economic opportunities that the Bahamas can develop and can improve upon. For instance, in terms of food security, there are already established industries like the fisheries industries, but we must, as a country, look at emerging industries such as aquaculture. In terms of what the drivers to aquaculture will be, it's a combination of population growth, coastal urbanization, food security demands, and seafood demand. The Bahamas can capitalize on this market if we take a proactive approach. At present, economists and accountants alike have estimated that 1 square foot, one full acre of sea acreage can generate approximately $3.5 million within 2 to 3 years of aqua farming. When we look at marine biotechnology, this is another ocean service that we can capitalize as Bahamians. In terms of the emerging industries, you'll be seeing pharmaceuticals and chemicals, the chemical industry. These can feed, or the growth drivers that will feed this industry in the Bahamas will be the healthcare and the medical industry, as well as the beauty and cosmetic industry. And when I talk about marine biotechnology, I talk about things such as sponging. I talk about things such as the calcium carbonate within the conch shell. All of these things can be processed and manufactured and brought to a higher grade, whereby we can monetize these items to a greater degree than we are presently doing. In terms of minerals, metals, we have the option of seabed mining. We have the option of deep sea mining. In terms of what will be the growth drivers here, these would include heavy industries, demand for minerals, and manufacturing industry demand. Within the Bahamas at this particular time, there are a number of natural resources that can be mined and harvested from the ocean. In terms of the availability, we have, for instance, aragonite, which is a renewable resource. We have calcium carbonate, which is also renewable. All of these are things that we can maximize the potential on. But in moving forward as a nation, in terms of the mining of the sea and the deep sea mining, we must be mindful of maintaining our environment in terms of complementing what is already in place, in terms of observing the ocean currents, in terms of the natural portability of water, in terms of cleansing the natural streams so as to not incur any ecological damage to the reefs or any other economic aspect of the oceans. We have oil and gas within the Bahamas. You have the LNG, you have the oil. Most Bahamians are skeptical about this, but the truth of the matter is there has been research into the oil industry from as far back as the 1930s. There have been a few research groups that have moved forward in this vein, and at present all of the necessary pre-exploration steps have been taken by a noted company that is registered on the London Stock Exchange and operating here within the Bahamas. We also have liquefied natural gas, or LNG. All of these are options that are available to the Bahamas to improve upon in terms of oil and gas derivative products and things of that nature. In terms of the growth drivers, there is an existing energy demand. Oil and gas derivatives are in high demand. In terms of what we have here, there is a huge vein of oil running through the southern portion of the Bahamas that has not been maximized upon, and for various reasons, I won't get into that here. in terms of the generation of new resources, the Bahamas has to look at improving its energy sector, not just energy sector in terms of solar, energy sector in terms of wave energy, energy sector in terms of turbine produced energy. The bottom line is the Bahamas has to approach alternative energy and introduce the system into the Bahamas, and this way we will lessen the price on electricity, which will improve the entire business environment for locals and foreigners alike. When we look at the water aspect of the Bahamas, this is a opportunity for many Bahamians to get into in terms of other desalination plants for fresh water. There are also there's room for increase within the salt mining market. What we have here in the Bahamas is we have a raw product, and the truth of the matter is we are not maximizing on this raw product. In terms of commerce and trade, we allow ships to move throughout our waters, and they're not properly being monitored, they're not properly being taxed, they're not properly being governed. Here it is, we have vessels that should have Bahamian captains on board for added resources and added income to the economy. And also, if we certify the amount of captains that would be needed, this would be an extra 5,000 or so jobs that would be created when you consider the amount of tourists moving about through our waters by boat and other heavy liners. In terms of moving forward with tourism and recreation, we have to improve and develop a better tourism model that includes coastal development. We have to improve upon the ecotourism aspect of what we have. We do not appreciate the true ecological environment that we exist in within the Bahamas. There's also marine real estate that has not even truly been tapped into, more marine heritage centers and parks. The truth of the matter is we have basically just allowed tourism to just go along in its own lazy-daisy sort of way, a lackadaisical approach somewhat. The bottom line is there are individuals who still find the Bahamas attractive and who would like to come to the Bahamas. Now, the issue is whether we're going to provide them with a product that is modern, whether we're going to provide them with a product that is clean and that is conducive towards their standard of wanting to come to the Bahamas and relax or make money. In terms of what we must do as a country moving forward, if we were to implement the blue economy model, there has to be ocean monitoring and surveillance. There has to be an improvement in the information technology platforms that we're presently using. That in terms of what we can look forward to the future, you can look forward to ocean technologies being introduced into the environment. In terms of what is going to drive it is the research and development in ocean technologies. We also must look at things such as carbon sequestrations and national carbon regulations. There has to be a blue carbon environment within the Bahamas water system or water model. In terms of coastal governments, national security has to now take more proactive steps. It is not enough just for marine fisheries and the defense force and things of that nature, but there has to be true coastal governance in terms of not just stopping poachers from coming into our waters, but we must protect and restore what we have. In terms of ocean pollution, there has to be the perpetuation now of a new industry, which is really truly old, which is the salvage and the towage industry. We have too many abandoned vessels sitting at the bottom of our waters, not properly structured for coral development. There has to be wreck removals and restoration. There has to be some adherence to noting what pollution and waste technologies are available and what can be done to counteract any negative outlay. If the Bahamas is going to truly move forward with the blue economy, one, the average Bahamian needs to realize that there are 8 potential blue economy sectors that can be entered into. in terms of what the blue economy will offer to Bahamians. In terms of the sectors that the Bahamians can make money from, there's the coastal tourism, there's the offshore oil and gas, deep sea shipping, short sea shipping, yachting and marinas, monitoring and surveillance, offshore energy, coastal protection, ferry services, cruise tourism, fisheries, inland waterways and real estate, inland waterway tourism, inland waterway transport, biotechnology, desalination plants, aquatic production, marine mining. And these are the primary 18 economic sectors that the Bahamas can get into. Each of these sectors are multi-million sectors. But here it is, we as Bahamians, we just simply need to reassess what we have, and we must be more proactive in implementing and growing these various 8 sectors that are available to the Bahamas at this particular time if we were to perpetuate it. Any one of these sectors can rescue the Bahamas from its present economic scenario. But for the purpose of this, one of the primary sectors that I think in terms of economic growth, the areas that we should focus on is blue energy, aquaculture, marine, coastal and cruise tourism, marine mineral resources, blue biotechnology, inland waterways. If we focus on these 6 primary areas moving forward in the initial phase, the Bahamas can move itself forward economically and move us as a nation into a new realm of economic prosperity and abundance. When we look at blue energy, it entails tidal barrages and wave energy and ocean thermal energy conversion. So you'll be looking at a lot of the what Bahamians would call windmills and things of that nature, or turbines in the professional industry jargon. In terms of aquaculture, we have the ability to provide ourselves with food security and animal feed, and we also have the ability to produce jobs with the aquaculture sector. In terms of marine, coastal, and cruise tourism, there are opportunities to be had in maritime heritage, passenger ferry infrastructure and services, shoreline activities, open water activities. Here it is in the Bahamas today. Yes, we may have the mailboat service, and we may have 1 or 2 operators such as the Bohengi, but we have a wide open market for other individuals who can enter into the market and produce goods and services in the marine, coastal, and cruise tourism sector. The true matter of it is, anchor projects is not the way forward for the Bahamas in terms of developing the total overall islands of the Bahamas. The truth is, the model that we should embrace is the small hotel, the small maximum 250 room establishment. Moving forward, in terms of the blue economy growth focus areas that we as a country should focus on next is the marine mineral resources and shallow water mining, which entails shallow water mining and deep sea mining. We have a number of products in their raw state within our waters, within our archipelago. We must move forward in researching and developing what we have in order to monetize these items. Within almost every sphere of our country, there are natural resources that can be harvested. Even though the naysayers may say that these natural resources do not exist or cannot be monetized, I am one of those who are of the dissenting opinion who believes that we can monetize our natural resources. We just simply have to qualify and quantify what we do truly have. In terms of the blue biotechnology, there's an opening in the industry of gene sequencing technologies. We have many Bahamians who have gone away and abroad to study marine biology and biochemistry and all of these areas who cannot find employment at this particular time. These are the areas that will be open to these Bahamians who are qualified and certified in these particular areas. In terms of inland waterways, the Bahamas is unique in that regard, in that We are an archipelagic nation, and we are open to a wider assortment of services that can be rendered inland and outland. In terms of the marinas and yachting services, these have not been properly structured and properly monetized. Proper structuring and monetizing will come about when we know who is moving through our waters, when they're moving through our waters, through the implementation of the requisite proper technology. This has just been a quick introduction to the blue economy, Bahamas, trying to give you some insight as to what opportunities that we as a Bahamian nation have. It is meant to generate conversation, it is meant to generate thinking. But the truth of the matter is the Bahamas has a lot of areas that we can monetize, and we can make this an abundant, wealthy, and prosperous nation. This is going to be the first of a segment of videos that I'm going to be releasing in regards to Bahamian economic models that we can put our thrust behind. I hope that you continue to like, share, and follow my page. This is Doyle Roberts, a proud Bahamian nationalist, trying to help the country move forward.